Welcome back, Pre-Calc. Our objective for today is going to be to solve basic trig equations by hand. I'm going to force a pause on the screen. You know what to do from here. Alright, I'm going to force another pause on your screen. Can you please copy example 1 and then we'll do it together. Alright, so we are trying to find all solutions of the equation given below in the interval 0 to 360 degrees. Okay, so this right here tells me that my answer or answers will be some angle between 0 and 360 in degrees. Alright, so I'm trying to find the angle that makes this a true statement. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's figure out where on the unit circle we need to be so that cosine is square root of 3 over 2. Well, if cosine is square root of 3 over 2, then that means I'm closer to the x-axis. And if it's positive, it means I'm in which two quadrants? In quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, but closer to the x, right? So in degrees, this would be 30 degrees and 330. And that's it, okay? All right, what about tangent of x is negative square root of 3, all right? So again, let's think about what quadrants we would be in as well as which axis we would be closer to. Okay, so what quadrants is tangent negative in? Tangent is negative in 2 and 3. And remember that this is technically square root of 3 over 1, which is, remember, tangent's y over x. So which one's larger, square root of 3 or 1? Square root of 3 is larger, so I'm in quadrants 2 and 4 closer to the y-axis, so that would be this and this angle, right? So in degrees, that would be 120 degrees, right? As well as 300 degrees. All right, I'm going to force another pause on your screen. Go ahead and copy what I have, and then we'll work this together. Okay, so two differences here from example 2 that maybe you noticed. First of all, now we want our answer in radians, right? Still just doing one lap around the unit circle. The other thing I notice is that my trig term is not isolated yet, okay? So what do we need to do to get sine of x by itself? Well, the first thing we need to do is subtract 1, right? So let's do that. So I've got square root of 2 times sine x equals negative 1. Then I need to divide both sides by square root of 2. So I get that sine of x is negative 1 over square root of 2, which maybe doesn't look super familiar yet, but if we rationalize, in other words, multiply numerator and denominator by root 2, I get that sine of x should be negative root 2 over 2, and this is looking familiar hopefully now, right? Okay, so what two quadrants is sine negative in? Sine is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. Okay, and am I closer to the x-axis, the y-axis, or right in between here? Right in between, so that's square root of 2 over 2, right? So those two. So I know if I'm right in between, my denominator should be 4 for both, right? In quadrant 3, my numerator should be 1 more than my denominator, and in quadrant 4, my numerator should be 1 less than twice the denominator. So final answer, 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. All right, I'm going to force another pause on your screen. Go ahead and copy my example, and then we'll work this together. Okay, so what typically bothers students the most are those denominators, those fractions, right? So how about we get rid of the fractions by multiplying everything by 5, right? Just be sure that you multiply every single term. In other words, distribute that 5, okay? So when I distribute here, I'll get negative 10. When I distribute here, the 5's cancel, right? So I just get plus tan of theta. And then again, when I multiply 5 to the right side of the equation, it just gets rid of the denominator for me. So I have negative 10 minus root 3. Okay. All right, so now we want to isolate our trig expression, this tan of theta. But maybe you'll notice here that if I add 10 to both sides, those go away, right? So I'm left with tan of theta equals negative root 3. which I think we just solved this a little bit ago, right? So I'm looking for what angle, and if we're not given a interval, assume 0 to 2 pi, okay? All right, so what quadrants should I be in if tangent of my angle is negative? I will be in quadrants 2 and 4. So remember, all students take calc, so tangent is positive here and here, meaning it's negative in the other two. All right, so I know I'm in quadrant 2 and 4. Remember, this is y over x, so I must be closer to the y-axis. Again, I am here and here. So this time in radians, if I'm closer to the y-axis, what should my denominator be? My denominator should be 3. Remember, it goes denominator of 6, 4, 3. Okay, and then in quadrant 2, my numerator is 1 less than the denominator. In quadrant 4, my numerator is 1 less than twice the denominator. And that is that. All right, I'm going to leave you with this one. Please bring this one to class, solve in the interval 0 to 2 pi, and be ready to share your answers in class. All right, I'll see you all then.